It's no different than somebody standing outside a public area, Walmart, whatever, and videotape. It's no different than that. And again, we talked about traffic cameras. They're not traffic cameras. And actually, to bring up a point, people want to say it's getting all my information. I know when myself and my family go to Florida, we've been to New York, we get told receipts in the mail. That has a picture of your license plate with your name, your vehicle, your VIN number, the time you passed through. That has more information than that from what we get. So everybody wants to complain that, you know, it's invading privacy, yet they're fine with going through toll booths or using their cell phone or complaining on the Meta database through Facebook, which is, you know, that tracks everything. But you got a picture of your car on the roadway is an invasion of privacy. Some of the things that we had, we've recovered several stolen vehicles. We've tracked out-of-state sexual offenders that are entering our jurisdiction from other states that have no valid reason. That gives our officers and investigators a tip that this person has entered the community and to see why. We've located a stolen truck from Ohio that came and they were here to commit other crimes. We've located robbery suspects that otherwise would have proved very difficult to solve without that. We located an elderly dementia patient who didn't have her cell phone, was without required medication, and was confused and had no idea where she was. We were able to locate her and reunite her with her family. The biggest one that we had was locating a kidnapped infant. That was during last winter, December, I believe. Her biological father took the infant, stated he was going to kill himself and kill the baby. So unless you stood there and investigated it, listening to the mother's pleas to find her child, and luckily a flock hit rotary in Simpsonville, and Simpsonville PD were able to locate that father who was outside the vehicle and left his infant child strapped to the car in freezing weather while he was passed out on dope. You know, the outcome could have been a lot worse, so we were very happy to reunite that family. So in closing all this, again, we have a very strict set of policies and guidelines. My officers know that if they violate that, they're run off the system to are going to face disciplinary issues. And this is audited quite frequently every 30 days. And as your chief and husband and parent, I'm happy to have these in my community. So if anybody's got any other questions or anything, feel free to ask me or clarification.
2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Number 1, does our flock system, I guess, talks to everybody else that has one?
That's a good
That
question.
you all can communicate?
So they have to be granted access, just the same
Okay.
way we have to be granted access. With that being said, outside agencies such as Winchester or Moorhead have limitations on what they can search out of our database. Again, they're required to put in their reason, case numbers, things like that. If they're in violation of that on our end, they can be booted out of the system. Most of the agencies, especially in our area, have that strict KLC policy in place. And like I said, they can't search and look up as much as we can from ours, just the same as we can't go into their system and look up for vehicles as much as they can. So usually how it works is an outside agency will call and say, hey, can you check for this vehicle? We had an armed robbery or theft, and we think it may hit 64, we get lucky, and you may find it.
So the tag doesn't exist in the system, and then as soon as it hits a camera, it alerts somebody. That's not how it works?
If they're entered into NCIC, which is the database, the national database, if they're wanted for any type of crime, a missing person, a dangerous person, things like that, as far as, say hypothetically Winchester had an armed robbery. They knew who it was, they put them in, this vehicle was associated, this person has a phone number. If it hits the cameras and it's in the database, it will alert us and say that.
So it is connected like that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
that was my,
it is connected.
that was my
Yeah.
kind of question, yeah.
Yes.
And then if like your see more detail, you can see, I'm assuming this is how many times the vehicle was seen in those
That'll
cameras over that period of time?
Over that period of time, yes, that'll show that vehicle's hit that camera, how many
And the only reason we would look at it is if it's a criminal, they're in the database, it gets flagged for some criminal activity,
Yes.
or you have a missing person or something like that,
Or
or a crime, a local crime.
Yes, an investigation. You know, a typical one we search for on our audits, the last one was 90% of it was stolen property. That goes back to stores like Walmart, things like that. You know, hey, this person fled, they pushed out a cart full of $400 worth of stuff. We can go in and say, okay, they keep hitting this camera, and that gives the officers the ability to kind of look in that area, or get a tag, because half the time they get the tag wrong or they get a partial plate, and we can go in and search that database and get the correct tag. But then they have to follow up. They have to get the registration, see who the registered owner is, confirm all that through dispatch, and then do, you know, have the victim do a lineup, or who was the suspect. Okay.
So this just opens the door for you to take the other steps.
It just helps, and
Okay.
I've been doing this 23 years, and I can say this is the best tool that we have ever had in policing. There are several crimes that I wish I would have had this back when the crimes occurred, because we could have solved it. You know, the armed robbery at Steak and Shake years ago. I know for a fact by the blurry surveillance video, they went towards the interstate. We did everything we could. We checked, you know, hotels, people from out of state that stayed in, you know, all that. We just could not get that lead. But had we had something like this, we'd have been able to search back and say, well, no, we passed here at 3 a.m., pull it up, boom, there's a tag or description. Now we can go from there and further the investigation. But again, you know, it's how it's used and how it's not used. And the misinformation and false narratives going around on Facebook and social media are just absurd, because we're the ones that see the success of it, see, you know, when you reunite that family. If it was my daughter and my sons that were kidnapped, God forbid, I would want every available resource used to
Absolutely.
try and find my child. And these people may complain that it's a violation. You're on a public roadway. It's not like we're going to your driveway taking pictures of your car.
It's no different than somebody's dash cam that accidentally
Exactly.
takes your picture.
And like I said, you go to Lowe's, they have their own private alarm system.
Yeah.
We don't have, you know, we don't have control of that.
Do you think this would be good to put in the newspaper? I think this is a great informational thing that, I don't know if that's something that would be worth
If,
our.
I'm disappointed the press isn't here tonight, but I think it'd be good to
I mean, this-
sit down
this
with the
kind
press
Yeah,
and,
or just this kind of information, like in this form. I think this is very user-friendly,
I
reader.
think,
It
I think
has
Chief
no
could sit down
connection.
with the advocate and ask to
I would
do
even say
a
sit
story.
down and go over what you just did. Some of the debunks and stuff. One of my favorite I seen today is we're using this in Australia so China can spy on us. So
Now-
China is not spying on us, right? We want to make sure that's all cleared
Some of
up.
the other rumors that are out there, it takes your Wi-Fi.
Oh,
You
yes.
drive by, it takes your NFC and all this other stuff. It does not do that, all right? Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say, I don't get calls from companies that wanna sell different things as far as tracking and facial recognition. We're not doing that. There's no reason to do that. And I've turned them down every time they call and tell them we're not interested, take our name off the list, because we won't do that. There's no reason. But when you're on a public roadway, your expectation of privacy is pretty much zero to get a picture of your license plate.
100%. I agree. I wish the advocate was here tonight.
Well, we'll get that set up
And I think
with
for
the
this,
advocate. One other thing,
Very
while we're
thankful
talking
for
about
this.
cameras, can you talk about the rollout, which didn't go as we had hoped, but we are trying to, community policing is important. And we want neighborhoods to look out for each other, look out for their neighbors. And Chief is working on a program to ask, not require, ask citizens if they would just let the police department know if they have a camera and they're willing to share footage.
If there's a need for it.
If there's a need for
They
it.
won't
So,
have constant feed of it.
No.
but- okay.
so Chief is working on that now, and
We got it 50% of the way fixed.
Yeah.
He's got the form, but now he just can't figure out where it's being dropped into our inbox, so he's working on it.
so we've got some requests from citizens, but it's it's not loading correctly into our system. So we gotta work out those kinks
And
there.
again, it's not, that was some of the things when we posted it that were hitting was, oh, now they want access to my home security system. No, I don't
Yeah,
want access to your home security system. I just want to be able that if there's a crime and you're a willing citizen to help your community, that I can knock on your door and say, hey, we're registered. Do you mind? Can you check and see if you saw anything on this date or this time?
Text through
And
red tape.
that's it. It just cuts down from going door to door and knocking.
More eyes are better.
And saying, do you have a camera that we can potentially see to see if we caught this vehicle breaking into these cars, things like that.
It's good stuff.
And I know the mayor wanted me to touch too real quick on federal agencies. Federal agencies do not have access to our flock. They are actually banned by flock themselves. This is only for state and local agencies. So ICE, Homeland Security, all those big federal agencies do not have access to our flock. They are not in the system for our access. The agencies that we have in are local statewide agencies that have access to certain amounts of information. That's about it.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. If you all have questions and want to sit down with Chief, we can certainly
That's awesome,
make
Chief.
time
Thank
for that. Chief, I think it'd be a good idea if we do get the advocate to do a story, so contact Jamie and ask if we can set something up.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Good job. And I just want to say publicly, I appreciate everything that the Mount Sterling Police Department does for this community. Safety and security of our community is very important. We have one of the finest organizations in the state of Kentucky. I'm so proud of the men and women who work down there, and I'm sorry for all of the false accusations that are being made about you all online. It's not deserved. Next item on the agenda is accepting the bid for the City of Mount Sterling 2026 street resurfacing project. I put that in your packet. We only had one bid submitted. That was by Walker Construction Materials. That was for $74,973. That will cover resurfacing of Wynn Street from North Maysville Street to North Sycamore Street, Big Staff Court, the entire length from Wynn Street to Sterling Avenue, Silver Lake Drive, 170 feet of that, and then Old Silo View, 92 feet of that. I'd ask for a motion.
Second.
Motion by Barnes,
Or
second by
Trevor.
King.
Do it.
Yeah, we'll mix it up. Any questions? Poll the members, please.
Excuse me, Barnes. King. Ledford.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Trimble.
Next is surplusing a wood chipper. Nathan, you have some information on that?
Yeah, it's 2003, they bought it before I was here. It was used when we bought it. The engine has lost compression, and so instead of fixing it or buying one, no longer than we do, a couple times a year we're going out and trimming trees. It's just cheaper in the long run for taxpayers. We'll rent one from a bypass rental or somewhere, get it and be back, and then we don't have the upkeep and all that on it. So that's the only reason we're getting rid of it. It's not to sink any more money into something that's 23 years old and we're out.
I'm on for you.
Okay, motion King,
You don't work that hard.
second Trimble. Any further questions? Poll the members, please.
Barnes. King. Ledford.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Trimble.
Next is Resolution R7 2026. This is a resolution adopting and approving the execution of the memorandum of agreement between our city and the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Department of Highways in the amount of $98,000 LARP funding that will be for the resurfacing of Spring Street. So we are very fortunate. We were awarded $98,000 to help repave that entire street. And we just need to formally accept those funds from the state of Kentucky.
Yes.
So, the motion by King, second by Trimble. Any further discussion? Poll the members, please.
Barnes. King. Ledford.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
Trimble.
Next is Resolution R8, 2026. This is the resolution that we mentioned earlier, authorizing the submission of an application to the U.S. Department of Justice for funding for the FY 2026 law.